Welcome to the Joe Watson Show podcast.
Hello folks, welcome along to the Joe Show podcast, or the Joe Watson Show, the smallest podcast in Ireland, or Northern Ireland's smallest podcast, I should say. How you doing folks? Hope you're well. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode. It went really, really well. I had Rab on, and I always have a great episode with Rab, great banter, great crack, and of course, thank you very much, Daisy. That's all good. Right, this week I am going to be talking something very puzzling. Very puzzling indeed. We are just getting over COVID, and COVID is sort of on the decline, but obviously we're going to have to live with it, and that's fine. But now, there's the Monkey Pox. Monkey Pox. Come on. I know it's been a recognised disease since the early 60s. That's fine. That's okay. But now there's officially 2 cases been discovered in Northern Ireland. That makes 22 cases in the UK. I'm not overly worried, really, because I've been through COVID, and I'm like, maybe I'm being wrong, but apparently it starts off with lesions on your body, a bit like leprosy. I would suppose, like lesions, like bumps and things, and rashes, and it can be on your face, it could be in your groin area, and apparently it's a sexually transmitted thing. Well, thankfully, I'm a married man, and a very loyal married man. My wife's a loyal married man too. So we're not going to be messing around. So we're going to be okay. I think we're not going to get it that way. We may get it. Apparently, it's airborne as well. If the lesions are in their mouth and they sneeze or they cough, and the aerosol droplets could end up touching us, and we get infected. Also, bed linen as well. You can get it from that as well. So there's going to be more and more of this rubbish going about, and probably in the next few months there'll be some other virus that'll make the government think, maybe we should shut these people in again. But anyway, so moving on swiftly from that, this is not going to be your bog standard podcast, because I haven't much to say, but I will say this. I think you know that I have been doing my family tree for quite some time now, but roughly about 10 minutes ago, as recent as 10 minutes ago, I made a discovery, a quite shocking discovery. And, well, not shocking enough. I made a shocking discovery a couple of years ago when I discovered that my grandfather was in fact born in a wedlock. Yes. No big deal. I was born in a wedlock. But anyway, his father was born in a wedlock, and I just discovered that 5 minutes ago. And I was thinking, what is going on with these people? They cannot keep their duties and their doofers in their trousers. But yes, so I've been searching my family tree, and you may think, Joe, you're oversharing, you shouldn't be sharing these things, but I'm quite open. And my family tree, what my family did in the past, in the hundreds of years ago, doesn't reflect to me who I am, me as a person. I don't care if my family were Hindus, Muslims, Catholics, Protestants. It doesn't matter to me. I am the here and now, and it's me, and I'm to make my way in life, and whoever my family were in the past, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm the same as them. So apparently my grandfather's grandfather had a wee bit of sympathy for a local servant girl who came to the house, and we're not talking about black, white. We're talking about an Irish, maybe. It could have been a 20. I'm not saying he was a pedophile. No, I'm not going down that road. But he was a young man. Okay. My great grandfather was born in 1875. So around about 1874, 1874, there probably was a chance. So I was counting it back, and I saw that his father, my great-great-grandfather, was born in 1844. So 44, 54, 64, 74. well, he would have been 41. Okay, fair enough. We have no idea what age this woman is that he was. Am I right in saying that age? 44, 54, 64, 74. No, he was 31. Sorry, 31. My maths have always been terrible. Even when I'm counting with my fingers. So at 31 years of age, he wasn't married. I don't think he was married until he was later on, probably, because according to the 1911 census, he was round about 60. He was 69, but people didn't read and write then, and there was no such thing as birth certificates for people that was born. So before 1850, 50s, 60s, there wasn't a necessity. Okay, Daisy. Okay, there wasn't a necessity for birth certificates. So this man said he was 69 in the 1911 census, but he actually was 65 or 66 or 67, 66, 67. Fair enough. So he was born in 1844, and he wasn't married to about 8. He wasn't married till he was about 40, or maybe 40. Because if it was 39, 40 type thing. So another older man to get married. So it turns out his son, who was born out of wedlock, when he grew up, what I'm seeing, because I don't know, I'll find out more tomorrow. I'll find out more this afternoon, because I'm actually, as I'm talking to you right now, if you're listening to this on Friday the 27th, I'm actually in Belfast, up on the train with Laura, my wife's uncle. We're doing some genealogy. He's doing some genealogy in his family, which intertwines into my family, because I have married into his family. I married his niece. So his genealogy merges into my genealogy from myself and Laura. So, yeah, as I was saying, I just discovered the two different names. It was mind-blowing. I'm assuming that this girl that was my grandfather, that was my great-grandfather, or my great-grandfather's mother, I was assuming she was married to him afterwards, but it turns out he was married to a different woman whenever he had when he was in the 1911 census. Maybe this woman that he had this first son to, maybe she died and he remarried. I don't know, but they weren't married whenever they had my great-grandfather, because the formally bit, so the maiden name, it was never scored out, so she was always when she had the child and they registered the child, she was still by her maiden name. Now back then that would have been back in the 1800s, that would have been a disgrace. And Ireland, if you don't know, if you haven't seen the movies, in Ireland, even back as early as the 1990s, things were sort of being more open at that stage, but there were still families, like a lot of Roman Catholic families would have been very, very strict, probably Protestant too, very, very strict on their daughters having babies out of wedlock. And my great-great-grandfather, Edward Watson Sr., because I'm calling him Sr. because his son, my grandfather's father, is Edward Watson as well. So Edward Watson Sr. was a Presbyterian man, and his son, Edward Watson Jr., was registered as a Catholic. So I'm assuming that he would have been brought up with his mother and her father and mother, and they would have probably brought him up as a Catholic, because then Edward Watson Sr. seemed to have been married to this woman, Margaret, later on, and they had a son who was in his 20s in the 1911 census, and he was registered as Presbyterian. So, there's so many different changes and things like that, and I find family history so interesting. Maybe you don't, maybe you're thinking, Joe, what the heck are you talking about? So, but anyway, so I'm so excited also to announce that Fuse FM are now using Rodecaster Pro for their studio too, and I set it up, and I'm so happy to have been able to set it up, to be able to set it up, and I'm going to be doing the official teaching of how to use the Chromecast or the Roadcaster Pro, and I am delighted to have been chosen to do that. It came on by accident. Well, I was at home 2 nights ago. Got a phone call to say that the mixer desk in Studio 2 for them is the studio they do the recordings for adverts, and they do things in there for like pre-record shows and things for those who can't do it at home. Like I can do pre-records from home here. And so they said, will you come down? And I came down, and we looked at the faders, weren't doing anything at all. They weren't working. So I said, do we have another mixer? And I was told, we have 2 other mixers. And whenever they opened up the box, they were Roadcaster Pros. And they have pod mics as well. So Fuse FM's using the same equipment as me now. Not for the main studio, but they are using it in the pre-record studio. I'm blown away. So I've been asked, because I use the same equipment at home, I've been asked to do the training on it. So I'm excited about that. So yeah, what's been happening this week? Well, back from Scotland, had a lovely time in Scotland at the weekend. We went to my cousin, to Laura's cousin's wedding, and it was just a beautiful day. It really was, and we were all over the place. You know, when I was told that they were getting married in Glasgow, the hotel was in Glasgow, I assumed Belfast, like Belfast. You know, it was probably, you know, a city like Belfast or even Derry, and everything was just from maybe not walking distance from each other, maybe a few miles from each other. Was I wrong? Yes, I was. I really, really was, because Glasgow is huge. It's great. Hello, Mr. Grayson. Stop it. Yes, I was so wrong. And we left the house here at 4 a.m. on the Friday morning. And we got to the boat in Belfast, got on the Stena Line car ferry, and we were sailing for about 7:45. We got off the boat about 10:30, and we started at Carnryan. And we drove. There's the ice cream man. Why does he come at the wrong blinking minute? Ask Wiley. Why does he come at this time? I'm doing a podcast. Clear off. I want an ice cream, and I can't go out and get an ice cream because I'm stuck here doing this. Calm down, Joe. Calm down. I don't want an ice cream. So, what was I saying? Yeah, so we drove. My mother-in-law and Laura, my mother-in-law wanted to go and see her daughter. My sister-in-law, Laura's sister, wanted to go and see her new house that her and her boyfriend had bought. So they live in Perth. And again, Perth is huge. We saw a sign, but we were 20 miles away from their house. So we drove 140 miles from Carnryan to Perth. And my wife drove right through. We had to drive through Scotland, so we went through Ayr and Ailsa Craig, and we went through there. Ailsa Craig first, and then we went through to Ayr, and from there we went on, and we eventually came to the traffic in Glasgow, and all those freeways. Wow! Every 3 miles there was maintenance. And they have this thing called average speed cameras, and everyone I met, I stuck with them at, because they weren't there to catch. They're there to catch you speeding, obviously, but see if you're doing motorways, say, or 70 miles an hour, and the first camera sees you and you're doing 180, that's fine. You're probably aware, but it works out between each one if you've been speeding. So if you're doing 180 miles an hour past the first one, and 30 miles an hour past the second one, and 70 miles an hour past the third one, chances are you're not going to get a speeding ticket. That's fine. So, yeah. So, we got to Perth. We saw the sign for Perth, and I was thinking, brilliant. We'll just have to pump in the address. And, well, how wrong was I? So, pumped in the address, 20 miles away. So, eventually we got to the house, and we stayed an hour or so, and then we took my sister-in-law with us in the car, and we went back to Glasgow. And I thought, Glasgow, wow, you know, we're going to stay at the hotel where the reception's in. That's brilliant. We were in a place called Greenock, outside Greenock. We were in the old Greenock Road. Yeah. Which is 21 miles outside the city of Glasgow. In a town called Bishopston, actually, which is near Greenock. Hi. Mm-hmm. Then we had for the wedding the next day, the church was in a place called Clarkston, which was 25 miles from the hotel, and is a 40-minute drive from Glasgow city centre. You know, how wrong was I? So great weekend. I really enjoyed it. We had a little log cabin, fantastic. 2 dogs. Yeah, my brother-in-law. He's not married to my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law's boyfriend has a lovely big labradoodle, and beautiful big dog. And then my mother-in-law has a little Shih Tzu, and he stayed with us because he couldn't stay at the main hotel. And everything that moves he barks at because he has small man syndrome, he has small dog syndrome. So you know, small dog syndrome, which is fine. You can have small dog syndrome, but everything he barks. Okay, Daisy, calm down. There's no dogs, just me. So so great atmosphere at the wedding and in the hotel. It was fantastic. Then the next day we had a drive home, which was fine. We were clearly tired, but crack was 90, and the crack was a great time, and got to know people that, you know, got to know my sister-in-law's fella, and he's a lovely fella, and we got to know him, and he's a lovely fella. I still can't remember what he said is, I think he was an operations analyst or something, but he has a great work. He showed me his man cave, and it's an inspiration. So hats off, he's got a great job, and they have a great wee house there in Perth. Ice cream man's away. My ice cream man, I wanted a 99, I wanted a poke. For all those who don't know what's a poke, exactly is a poke. Yeah, we don't get pokes here, but in Belfast they get a poke, and it's not a poke in the eye. It's an ice cream. It's basically just a 99, a poke. I'm sure you're familiar with what a 99 is. And I'm going to ask you to clear up this debate. Get in touch.
You're listening.
Oh, what's this?
You're listening to the Joe Watson Show podcast, Northern Ireland's smallest podcast.
Here. I should have played that version at the start. Anyway,
You're listening.
I know. That's it now. Right, random. Settle this debate for me now. Is this? I always like a whippy ice cream, and everybody tells me that's not real ice cream. Is that right? Let me know.
Email the podcast at joewatsonshow.com.
So yeah, I would appreciate if you would like and share my podcast. I know there's times they're dreary and they're not really good, but I would appreciate if you would share them everywhere. You know, got my caricature done. I think I shared that on Instagram, Joe G Watson. Go and follow me there. You'll see all that's going on there. Follow me on Twitter, Joe G Watson. We're still trying to get Charlie. What do you call him? What do you call him? McDonald, Jim McDonald, Charlie, your man Charlie, to follow me on Twitter. That's hashtag Folly Joe, Big Joe, you know. So that's basically all it. Plans for next week. Big weekend. I'm working Sunday this week, and then I'm on work Monday, Tuesday, and then I'm off for 6 days. Queen's Jubilee, thank you, Mom. I'm going to bring out the hot tub, actually. If the weather keeps up like it has done, I'm going to bring out the hot tub. I'm going to hot tub, and I'm going to have a party. One-man party in the hot tub, and I'm going to enjoy myself, and I'm just going to relax, and I'm going to tidy out the garage as well. And I'm still in the process of getting the internet to the garage. Thanks very much to Rab for his idea. The next door neighbour told me that about them as well, so I'm glad. So I know that's the things I have to get. So I'm gonna get them you plug it into the house, and then you plug it into the garage, and internet comes via the power, not the internet itself, but it comes through the power. So yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Sammy and me are doing a special tomorrow on the radio show at 4 p.m. UK time, 107.5. You're listening from the Ballymoney area. If you're not, don't worry, you'll still get it on your smart speaker. If you have an Amazon Alexa, ask her to play Fuse FM Ballymoney. Google, I'm sure Google does the same thing. TuneIn Radio does it as well. Or you can listen at fuse.fm and click on Listen Live. Sammy and I, the Blethering podcast, which hasn't taken up yet, we'll be doing a live version of the Blethering podcast from 4 p.m. tomorrow on my show, The Joe Watson Show, on Fuse FM. So, that being said, folks, thank you very, 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 very much for tuning in. And as always, please do share and share alike. And let me know if you're listening, because it's quite daunting when you do something like this and you know, you don't know. You see the listening figure, but you don't know who you're talking to. I would love to hear from you.
You're listening to the... Email the podcast. podcast@joewatsonshow.com. Remember to check out the website, joewatsonshow.com.
And with that, thank you very much for listening in, and I'll see you all next week.